it was under 1,000 apprehensions the day before, that was a relatively good number. And if it was above 1,000, it was a relatively bad number, and I was going to be in a bad mood the whole day. I know that 1,000 overwhelms the system. I cannot begin to imagine what 4,000 a day looks like. So we are truly in a crisis.
That was Obama-era DHS Secretary Jay Johnson in 2019, when 4,000 border crossings per day seemed high. But under President Biden, the daily migrant encounters have surged to 12,000 this week, the highest total for a single day on record. That's 12,000 in a day. And Pete, I think it's important to point out 10,000 of that 12,000 came between ports of entry.
Not through a dedicated port of entry. Imagine what Jay Johnson would say about 12,000. I mean, he was saying 1,000 is a lot, 4,000 breaks the system. What does 12,000 in one day do? To better understand how bad this crisis has become, we're going to go off the wall and see how it affects multiple locations across the country. Will, let's start in your neck of the woods in Texas. I want to point out that these numbers are from CBP. They don't reflect November, just the month of October with early numbers.
Yeah, they are a bit down from last year, but the numbers are still staggering when you look at it broken down by ports of entry, by border sectors, actually. 22,000 in El Paso, 38,000 in Del Rio.
Rio Grande Valley, RGV, 32,000. And this is a single day encounters in Del Rio. And again, these are encounters, meaning they encounter a Border Patrol agent. They claim asylum. They're here illegally, but they claim they're under threat. What other countries did they pass through where they could have claimed asylum? We don't know. And then you've got the gotaways and the known gotaways.
Some images from this week from Eagle Pass, Texas.
I just don't see a lot of women and children in that group.
No.
This is an explosion of military-age males across all of these sectors.
Meanwhile, Congressman Maxwell Frost, Democrat, said, okay, listen, though, you got to put this into context. Think about what was happening in the early 1900s. Think about Ellis Island.
This is not new for our country. We're a country that accepts people, especially refugees. I always encourage people to look back into the history of Ellis Island. We were processing much more people than we do now. Such a long time ago with worse technology, and so we're able to do this.
Oh, we'll take
Sounds so smart.
Yeah, no, let's take you up on that. We'll compare it to Ellis Island.
Oh yeah, been there. Been through. We did something on Fox and Friends. We visited it. Mostly 1,900 a day is the max, usually, or average of what went through Ellis Island between 1900 and 1914.
Right. So he's suggesting it happened, way more back then. And of course, that's a formative period in our nation's history. We're all familiar. My grandfather came through Ellis Island. We're all very familiar with immigrants coming legally to the United States through Ellis Island. But Maxwell Frost says it was much more, 1,900 a day. Well, here's what's happening right now at our southern border. Almost 8,000 a day crossing. And
like you said, orderly, logbooks, identification, health checks. They were checking on allegiances and countries of origin in a far more meaningful way than we are today. And it was a fourth, effectively, of what we're seeing on our southern border right now.
We talked about Texas. Let's move to Arizona. There's a lot of focus right now on what's happening in Arizona. Take a look at the border encounters in that state. 17,500 in a single week. That was last week in November, Pete.
So why might you see it in Arizona in the winter? Because these are the months of the year when it's tenable to try to cross in Arizona, which in the hottest parts of the summer months is impossible. 55,000 border encounters so far. Again, this is 1 month because we're not even reflecting the month of November yet. So these are dated numbers, but we know they're going to go much higher.
By the way, up 141%. But to Pete's point of being dated, because we know what's happening right now.
Yeah.
In Lukeville, Arizona.
Just staggering.
Yeah.
Now, it's not just Arizona. It's not just Texas. You also got Malibu, California, Will, where boats are washing up on shore of illegals trying to find another route.
Yeah. This is Malibu, California. We brought you the story from roughly a week ago of one of these boats, a panga boat, high-sided, high-bow boat. Another one ashore this week with migrants jumping out of an overturned boat, making their way up the beach and into Malibu.
Yeah, well, like every other part, where do they go next? We don't know, but most of them get a plane ticket to fly somewhere and $5,000 and a phone, and we'll see you in 5 years for a court appearance. It's not going to happen. How about the northern border as well? Let's just keep going around every aspect of our country. Everything's up. So fiscal year 2023, that's the past year.
Yeah.
Encounters at the northern border up too.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen every single one of these has climbed, but the gray shows the climb month over month for this year, but look at it compared to 2021. This is the blue line, and you can see by the end of the year, you're looking at 3,698 versus now almost 19,000.
Oh, the beginning of Joe Biden's policies. Oh, we're getting a sense that it's pretty open. Better be time to take even more advantage. What will 2024's fiscal year look like? I shudder to think.
Yeah. Not just the southern border right there from Washington to Maine. It's happening all across our country, and particularly acutely since 2021. That's the scope of this catastrophe.
And this is why Speaker Johnson's saying this is a hill we're going to die on Capitol Hill, is the actual enforcement of immigration law, which has been just tossed out the window.
There you go.